I get my cardio with my workout literally in 12 minutes. And that helps me at a heart rate that's going at about 160 to 190. And so I'm breathing really heavy through my nose because how you breathe is critical. I'm visualizing subconsciously, letting go of discomfort, allowing love and contribution. As we know, the blue zone about love and connection, one of the keys to longevity. I make love most every morning or night, depending on my willing girlfriend. And the bottom line is, the body has to be moving. It has to be in love, and the thoughts have to be consistent and shut out all the negative world. I never watch the news. God forbid. I mean, you're going to take that junk into your brain. You don't take junk in your body. I have a choice. Who I kiss, my lips, and what food I put in my mouth, and how much I move my body, and the love and synchrony. And then here's the next level. We got to understand this. And that is, you have to really embrace hormonal imbalances. We're fraught with toxins, so we have to detox. We have to get in an infrared spa, a far infrared spa. Excuse me. We exercise. We do it to perspiration, but I do it in cool zones. I work out in very cool conditions because once you hit perspiration, you're at a stress point and your workout capacity drops. I'd rather train extremely high at a very efficient level, and then perspire later in the sauna. I do the sauna after my workout because before it tires me out a little bit. I'll have to admit, because I know my performance levels. And I also do a lot of pyramiding. If I don't have a training partner with me who's doing force negative reps where they're forcing the rate down in the negative direction where you're 40% stronger from the very first rep where you're fresh and really, honestly, I've never had an injury. I've never had to stretch because the way I do it is I'm always putting the muscles under constant, continuous tension. And then if I'm by myself, I pyramid. I pyramid up in weight, in heaviness, if I'm feeling it's too light, or I pyramid down all the way to, if I pyramid up to the highest weight level on the leg stack, literally pressing the entire amount, but maybe 3 reps and starting out with maybe 20 reps at the lighter rate. So the body's moving, the circulation, the lymphatics cannot work unless it's forced under muscular contractions. Wind sprinting, weightlifting, jumping on a trampoline. Those are the ways we stimulate the lymphatics. And most people develop a lot of edema, pitted edema. You can just grab the leg and just pinch it. And if there's little finger marks in there, you're sitting there in your toxins. You've got to move the body. So what we have to do then is live at the highest level, bring love into the life, understand relationships. Is she kinesthetic or he? Is he auditory? Is he visual? Is he acts of service? You employ all of the love languages to connect properly with other people. And I want you to appreciate fully that when love is in your life, you're more conscious. And most people are on autopilot. They run these negative programs whenever something comes into their environment to deal with the world. But the brain can only take certain bits of information. And we have to, because we get millions of bits of information, we delete, distort, and generalize. And that's why everyone's view of the world, when mass hypnosis on television occurs, everyone starts to believe that crap. So excuse me, but you have to decide what you accept, what programs you listen to, who you want to follow and work with to be the very best, the happiest, and the happiest people who eat healthy, who get quality sleep. Yes, 8 hours sleep. True, on a plant-based oil-free diet, you might find you need 6 hours, maybe less on raw foods. But the truth is, if you get to bed early and you wake up without an alarm, and I never drink coffee, let's be clear, I don't use the drug stimulant coffee, caffeine. All right. I will find that eating properly and titrating, eating my foods intuitively. When I get a little hungry, I eat. And I'm okay with fasting, but Walter Longo, the world expert on fasting, talks about a 12-hour window. When you get past 65, you don't want to be fasting too much. You know, you should be close to your ideal weight. I'm at my high school, college weight when I was drafted to play for football, BYU and UCLA, and I went to USC on a scholastic scholarship. But my current weight right now is as good as it was almost 40 years ago. So the truth is, your body weight should not increase with age. Obesity is a serious risk factor for cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. And yes, there's a myth about diabetes. People say, oh, avoid those carbs. What carbs? Okay, I agree. Avoid simple sugars. but eat whole plant-based potatoes, rice, tubers, fruits, vegetables, beans, and peas. The bigger the variety, the better the micro dosing, the microbiome. The gut requires 100 grams of fiber a day. Our primitive relatives had 130 grams. So when we look at this, I'm fine with chewing foods on a regular basis, but older people, sometimes their teeth aren't very good and they will use a blender. Okay. I'll have a blender once in a while mixed in with my foods. But the truth is I'm always looking at how do I optimize my nutrient uptake? And I do take supplements based on looking under a high powered microscope. I can honestly see in those people who have anemia, microcytic anemia, ovalocytes. Merck's manual has a whole section in blood hematology and blood morphology, but most of the authorities have prevented us from doing live blood analysis. But I've learned a window through the National Cholesterol Control Act and a stat test where I measure people's LDL, cholesterol, triglycerides, glucose. And I did this on 625 people at a Tony Robbins event, rechecked them in 9 days on a diet that was essentially what we're describing. And their blood cholesterol, triglycerides came down better than statins, better than the best blood pressure medication. And we did it in 9 days through diet, exercise, and resetting the mind at the subconscious level to take in positive programming. And you must know your hormone levels. Do both saliva, blood, and urine spaced a month apart. When your testosterone drops, we are guys. And honestly, I'd love to say that outdoor sun, getting sleep, taking in the right whole foods will optimize testosterone levels. I'm sorry to say that in my 45 years of experience and looking at people's blood analysis, that hormone levels do drop, plant-based or animal. Now, plant-based people have higher testosterone. Free testosterone levels tend to drop because they have more binding globulins, more fiber, different things that affect that. But you can release that with certain herbs. I love the herbs, Avena sativa, long jack. They release more of the bioavailable free testosterone. And which came first? The hormone level that made you want to exercise or the will to exercise and trying to force yourself to exercise? I would argue that optimized, I keep my testosterone level, believe it or not, at about 1,200 to 2,000. And when my levels drop to under 200, which I've let them do so by ignoring the 7 principles of health that I teach, which are the 7 secrets of health to look and feel great, that once your testosterone as a man or a woman, now, of course, women will have a different range at about 100 to 300. But once your testosterone level starts to drop, you start to age mentally, physically, and emotionally. Bring your testosterone level up. And the plant-based community has it wrong about IGF. They're going to say growth hormone is not good for you. It's a rejuvenative hormone. It must work for you. And we have to understand that, sure, I'll do brown rice instead of white rice. A question came up there, but I'm going to tell you this, that you need to know over 38 different hormone metabolites, as I learned, and we send out a 24-hour urine test, and it measures all the different estrogens, testosterone, androgens, cortisol. And cortisol is not the bad guy. Cortisol is the front line of defense. It handles stress. It assists you through the most stressful times. It helps you to fight colds, flus, and the lockdown. I'll just point as I jab my arm saying, this is not the way to get immunity. The way to get immunity is through these 7 secrets of health. I am convinced, and I've seen people combat cancer, heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. But if you leave out any of the 7 principles, you're going to fall short of your goal to combat these diseases. These 7 principles, I'll repeat: bioidentical natural hormones and supported what we call hormonal intervention with only hormones that are identical to what's in the body. I am an advocate of testosterone pellets embedded in the skin. Abraham Morgentaler wrote the book Testosterone for Life. He says that's the gold standard. It releases about 18 milligrams a day. Others, if they use testosterone, they can microdose in very small amounts each day, not this big injection once a week or twice, because you get this huge buildup and too much turns into estrogen. We can microdose cortisol. We can get out in the sun. The sun's critical to longevity and health and love, connection, detoxification, making sure you exercise. And I do 3 forms. I do what's called flow training on weekends. I'll go out with my dumbbells and I'll run the stadium with 40-pound steel vest, and I will put my body through an hour and a half of demand. And I find that my body, my lower body, my upper body comes into balance. I wear shoes that have no soles. I run barefoot in the sand and in the water. I make sure my alignment is correct, so I have no neck, ankle, knee problems. If I wear shoes, it throws off my foundation. So when I'm in the mode of making a difference, It's going to take that whole secret of health, which I would be remiss if I didn't mention stem cells. You can get cord blood stem cells, and we can extract those and inject them in injured areas or aging areas. And I'm convinced it's safe. It works. There's bioregulators of peptides that restore our hormone levels and our energy, our well-being, and our strength and our skin. And I'm convinced too that anyone who follows these principles, who goes to that next level, instead of living in the past and saying, well, we can't get enough protein from plant-based foods. Well, Walter Kempner proved with 20 grams of protein a day on a rice fruit diet, the average person lost 146 pounds, controlled and reduced their diabetes and got rid of it, got rid of their kidney problems, their hypertension went away, and their heart disease went away. I had cancer markers a few years back in 2015. I thought I was doing so good. I could eat things that I normally don't eat when a gourmet chef was offering me foods each day. And I ate those foods, unfortunately. And it took me a year and a half to clear up and get rid of those cancer markers. So listen, your mind comes first, because you have to program the subconscious every day for 46 years. I carry glass containers of fresh whole food, and I have it with me all day long. Do I eat a breakfast, lunch, and dinner? If I'm with some friends, I'll go out and get a bite, but I make sure I titrate and get the caloric needs I need in whole food state. And I'm always in that mindset of love and happiness. And if negativity comes on, I try and think of jokes. I move myself away from negative people. And I'm also interested in therapeutic plasma exchange. They took old mice, infused plasma from these young mice, and they put in albumin. And we now have the procedures to do for humans. So we're part of this ongoing incredible experiment, which we call life, happiness, and longevity to look and feel great. That's what I have to say about it.